So here we are, certainly round 6, race 2 here, folks, after an exciting thriller yesterday that provided Ollie Goethe with yet another race win, indeed stretching those race wins now out to 9 at this point. He comes in to race 2, but this time starting from 6th position. Reverse grid order, of course, folks, from what we saw prior yesterday. But nevertheless, this one is going to be spectacular. And we've got this man on the front row of the grid and on that pole position place as well. It's Josh Mason, who's going to certainly be leading them away with Freddie Lubin alongside him as well. Now, Josh Mason, certainly when it comes to leading from the front, he's got a good record of that. Hungary, of course, if you will remember, he won there, of course, leading the way, keeping Christian Mansell in behind him. But this time he's got Freddie Lubin alongside him as well. And there he is right now. Also, the fellow Brit. It's a full British front row as things stand. Frederick Lubin, of course, looking to represent and bring some big points to his campaign here today. Of course, 2 races we're going to be bringing you to this morning and, of course, later on this afternoon as well. But my name is George Morgan. I will be your commentator taking you through this morning's race. And then, of course, the afternoon one as well. Francesco Simonazzi, the hometown hero, the Italian, looking to score big with a wave as well. He's going to be feeling very confident starting from where he is. Really showed his pace when trying to close on Christian Mansell yesterday. Brought it right back in. I reckon if he had one more lap, he would have had a huge chance to make that crucial overtake. And here is Christian Mansell as well. Made some comments about the tyres, saying that he did overheat them. At least he thought he did. The grip levels weren't quite there towards the end, but a different complexion to this race this time. And I've no doubt they would have looked at it and maybe have a look at the setup and adjust a few things here and there. So watch out for Mansell. Of course, we've got plenty of other cars on the grid, no less, of course, this man too. This is Vladislav Lomko, the Grand Prix de Pau winner, who, of course, was also fighting it out with Ollie Goethe on lap 1. Wasn't quite able to get past the Dane. And one would have thought that if he managed to get his nose in front, he would have been very, very difficult to re-overtake. Oliver Goethe, of course, managing to hold on to the advantage and keep Vladislav Lomko in behind. But there he is now, Oliver Goethe, championship leader, stretching his points advantage further out as well. Certainly coming here in rude health, to say the least. And Crypto Tower now sit on 203 points in the championship, with Motor Park on 167, just in behind as well. And here, of course, is Alex Garcia, the young Mexican. Always a cheery face in the paddock is Alex Garcia, and a very tenacious talent too. Also has had fortune from the front as well, though misfortune, as I alluded to yesterday, when he headed into the barrier. But here are the highlights from yesterday's race. Well, it certainly was green flags and lights out as Goethe really sent it down through towards Tamburello. Got a huge launch and very, very close between Simonazzi and, of course, alongside him, Freddie Lubin as well. But Vladislav Lomko unable to tackle Goethe heading in towards turn 1. It would be Ollie Goethe who led them through on lap 1 and through the rest of the way. But Simonazzi with a dazzling display, another excellent move here this time at Acqua Minerale to move his way up into 4th place ahead of Freddie Lubin. Josh Mason also had a chance too, but here we saw as well Vladimir Netashil come unstuck at this portion of the track too. The chicanes are so quick, so vibrant. Netashil doing his best to control the car, but Ollie Goethe would take victory here in yesterday's first race. And a wonderful display it was too from Ollie Goethe. Very determined, a good finish. As we now strap ourselves in for race 2. And the drivers very shortly will make their way out on the formation lap as well. Here is the grid. Josh Mason starts on 1st place, front row, alongside Frederick Lubin, the fellow Brit. Francesco Simonazzi on row 2 in 3rd place, with Christian Mansell sitting alongside him in 4th. Vladislav Lomko in 5th spot as well, with yesterday's winner, Oliver Goethe, in 6th. Alex Garcia in 7th on row 4, with Vladimir Netashil alongside him for Effective Racing, 8th place. So the crowd's now getting themselves ready for yet another race start, and I've got my view outside the commentary box as the cars peel away and make their way down towards Tamburello. Very, very important, obviously, the formation lap to make sure that you've got the right temperature in the tyres. And these drivers will be making sure that they are up to optimal temperature, certainly in order to tackle these very sharp and snappy corners, these chicanes that can be very, very tricky, and can certainly provide an opportunity for your competitors if they want to make moves. We saw Josh Mason looking to try and open the door heading around Tosa when he was tackling Francesco Simonazzi. Of course, Simonazzi managing to pull one off at Acqua Minerale, as we saw from the highlight reel from yesterday's race. But the championship contest still in full swing. Oliver Goethe now 5 pole positions, not to mention 10 fastest laps after yesterday's performance, giving him an additional point, but also 9 first place positions this season as well. He could yet make it 10 if he wins here today, but he's got a real tough task ahead of him, starting from that 6th place, but never write off the Great Dane. Of course, all eyes on Josh Mason to see whether he can make it 2 wins this season, which I'm sure will please the Mason family, and not to mention his team as well, who work so hard to make sure that they bring their absolute best to these race weekends. But here at Imola, no better place to get a victory, that's for sure. 3.05 miles, 4.936 kilometers. Construction starting at this circuit back in March of 1950 and opening back in October of 1952. Settled in the town of Imola and in the heart of Emilia-Romagna, the region of Italy, 25 miles east of Bologna, the track named after the great Enzo Ferrari, and later as well his son Alfredo Ferrari as well, hence the name Dino that you get in the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, the great name, of course. As now the formation lap comes to an end now, as the drivers make their way through Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. Very important you get a good exit out of Ravazza 2, because that can very easily tee up your pace heading down the long straight before you then reach Tamburello, and you can just see the drivers now working hard, getting the heat into the tyres. Of course, very, very important for race starts. Simonazzi not getting the best of starts yesterday, of course, off the line. Freddie Lubin was able to tackle him pretty much straight away. Simonazzi having a lot of promise after a great performance in FP1, which granted him top spot with Olli Goethe in behind him. Of course, Goethe would go on to take P1 himself in FP2. And then, of course, Goethe taking pole position in great style too, with a last gasp flying lap, which would then lead him starting from pole in yesterday's race. But we're now about to get underway for the start of this race now. The cars starting to line up into their grid positions. Who's it going to be? Will Mason still hold the lead in towards Tamburello? Will it be Freddie Lubin? Will Simonazzi cause a stir? We'll have to brace ourselves, folks, and wait for this one. Certainly the garages all sat down, watching, stood up as well, as we now await the flag. The green flag now being waved. Here come the lights. 3rd light, 4th light, and the 5th light. And it is pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Josh Mason away, also in behind Frederick Lubin. Simonazzi, another slow start. Disaster for Francesco Simonazzi, and we got 3 wide into Tamburello. Christian Mansell, sensational. Mansell has made it through off the track as well. We've had an off further back. It looks like that could have been Vladislav Lomko further back. Not quite sure his name. Josh Mason looks to try and retake that 1st place. He does. Mason takes the lead, gets past his teammate Christian Mansell, who drops down to 3rd, and now Olli Goethe looks to pepper him, heading around Tosa as well. Side by side they remain. An exciting start to this race. Oh no, there's an issue. Mansell further down, he's dropped further down. Now in behind Simonazzi, and he's going really slowly. Not quite sure what's happened there, folks. We will keep you posted, but certainly what a start to this race. Dramatic, to say the least. Josh Mason leading the charge, doing absolutely everything he needed to do. Lomko now up into 2nd. Goethe has made it up into 3rd. It looked like it was Freddie Lubin who went off track, but managed to regather himself and hold on to 4th. But now Josh Mason still remains in front, looking very solid indeed. In behind as well, Vladislav Lomko, the current rookie standings leader, as now we see Francesco Simonazzi. Surely not another dazzling move here, Francesco, as he now makes his way down through towards Ravazza 1. Goes side by side now with Alex Garcia as the two come together. Garcia defending to the inside, as now we see the cars make their way around Ravazza 2 to tee up the second lap here in this race. And into the pit lane, Josh Mason coming into the pits. Is there an issue in that car? It looks like there might be, as now we see Vladislav Lomko make his way down through towards Tamburello, and certainly now Ollie Goethe will now make the almighty send in towards turn one. Will it be Goethe? Will it be Vladislav Lomko? The two tenacious characters. Goethe off the track this time. Goethe off the circuit as they make their way through towards Villeneuve. There is, of course, Josh Mason still in the pit bay. We're not quite sure. Mansell is in the pits as well. And now we see Simonazzi go ahead of Goethe. He goes into fourth. Wowee, folks. What a start to this race here at Imola. It's got off to a cracker. Goethe again, though. A little lock-up from Simonazzi. Not enough, though, to cost him that position, but electrifying here in the heart of Emilia-Romagna, as we now see Lomko head through the next left. In behind as well, Freddie Lubin on for a big result here today if he can keep this up. Alex Garcia also up in the podium places as well, with Goethe currently in behind him too, as the cars now work their way through Acqua Minerale. Simonazzi still there. The car's now coming back out, so that's good news. Mason and Mansell. Mansell ahead of Mason, crucially enough, as they now look to take the pit escape, as now Lomko heads through the next chicane. They've got Rabatza section coming up shortly. Simonazzi now really close to Alex Garcia at this point, as they make the almighty descent downwards. As now we see the cars, I'm looking out of my commentary box, out goes Josh Mason and Christian Mansell. Mansell leading Mason out in 7th place, and they're now behind Vladimir Netashil, who is currently holding on to 6th as well, as the cars now make their way past the pit lane. Ollie Goethe just in behind Simonazzi. Simonazzi looking to try and get close as well to Alex Garcia as they come down through towards Tamburello. The BBM car trying to get as close as he can. Can he unlock the door heading in towards that Ostatius chicane? As they come through still, though. Oh, Simonazzi just having a little look in the mirrors there of the Mexican Alex Garcia, though he still holds on to that 3rd place. This is where Alex Garcia's defensive driving is going to really shine through now. Simonazzi setting the fastest lap as well of the race so far, a 1:39, 1:12, as they now make their way through the next chicane at Villeneuve and then up through Tosa. And very shortly they'll make their way around the Piratella as well. But Goethe not leaving Simonazzi alone, much like Simonazzi isn't leaving Garcia alone. There's a little break then in between that of Garcia and Lubin. Lomko still leads the way with Lubin in behind him. Garcia, who's certainly trying to work hard to marshal off the potential attacks here from Francesco Simonazzi. Goethe as well, just locked in behind, as now we see the cars make their way through. And we're currently sat on lap 3 of 19. Here's the replay of the start, and what a start it was too. Not a great one at all for Simonazzi. Got off the line so slowly, and then we went 3 wide. Fair play to Christian Mansell. Really did launch it, but going wide off the track. It certainly looked like that was Alex Garcia who went actually wide off the circuit. Had to drop down quite a number of places, but he very quickly made it back, though, when he went toe-to-toe with Christian Mansell, who looked to have a bit of an issue. It looked like actually a puncture. You can actually see where the tyres come away from the alloy itself. Goethe coming off at the chicane as well, and that, of course, allowed the likes of Vladislav Lomko to go through as well. An electrifying start, lots of drama. Certainly wasn't the same type of drama we saw yesterday, as we now see the cars make their way down the home straight. Simonazzi with a great chance now, if he wants to pursue a potential overtake, will need to, in fact, if he wants to stay close to Freddie Lubin, as he looks on the outside, heading through towards Tamburello. Still, though, Garcia, again, positioning the car in all the right places in order to halt any progress there from Simonazzi, and Goethe's just waiting for one wrong move for Francesco, and then he can look to launch and maybe up his places as well to maybe attack that 4th spot, as now they come up towards Tosa. Simonazzi not looking to make the move down the inside of Tosa. Goethe as well, just waiting patiently. I mean, Goethe, he's going to be frustrated as anything, because he wants to try and get that 1st place. There's 10 race wins on the line here for Goethe, but Simonazzi now up through towards Piratella. Had a look down the outside as well, potentially looking for that 3rd spot. Of course, podium on the line here between these 3 drivers. Very important, obviously, going towards their championship credentials as they head up through Acqua Minerale. Oh, and an issue there, an error from Francesco Simonazzi running wide at Acqua Minerale, and that allows Ollie Goethe now up into 4th place. So pretty much handing it to him on a platter right now. Goethe can now go on the attack, on Alex Garcia now for that podium place in third. Still Lomko in front. Lubin holding on to a near enough 2-second advantage now, given all the scraps that have happened in that third to sixth place. It has opened the door, and or shall I say third to fifth place. It has really opened the door now for Freddie Lubin, as now we see Ollie Goethe make his way down the home straight. He has got just ahead of him now what looks to be Alex Garcia, just getting closer and closer to that rear wing. As here we see Vladislav Lomko holding on to the lead with Freddie Lubin just in behind him. Of course, Lomko hasn't won since Grand Prix de Pau, and here comes now inside line Ollie Goethe, and once again shutting the door, Alex Garcia, and we've seen the defensive efforts. I alluded to it earlier on. He's doing it again, keeping Goethe at bay. Remember, back in Spa, relentlessly defending up the Kemmel Straight. He has come here now to Imola and doing exactly the same thing as now Josh Mason, by the looks of it, exiting the pit lane again, coming out back onto the track in 8th spot. It really has been a difficult race for Josh Mason, has not gone to plan. He looked so full of promise up at the front, but just really suffering after some earlier issues during the early part of the race. But nevertheless, I'm sure he'll be working hard to bounce back. Remember, we've got another race this afternoon as well, folks. But here we take a look at the replay. This was, of course, the moment where Simonazzi would run off wide at Acqua Minerale, allowing Ollie Goethe through. And he did well not to actually land the car into the gravel, and a shake of the head as the team look on at BVM. As now we see them make their way through. Alex Garcia still in third. Goethe must be smelling an opportunity for a podium place, just to add to his already eclectic collection. He's got 3 third-place positions already. Oh, big collision! Oh, dearie me, heading around Ravazza 1, and that sees Alex Garcia off into the gravel trap, and now Ollie Goethe up into third place. But will that be looked at? That's the big question. I have to tell you, a big moment here already as we made our way into lap 6 of 19, and Garcia off into the gravel trap. We'll bring you news very shortly, folks. Vladislav Lomko has just registered the fastest lap of the race so far, and now Simonazzi pressurising that of Ollie Goethe. Has Goethe got damage? Was there contact? Let's have a look as they came through Ravazza 1. Yes, there was definite contact, and it sent Garcia into the gravel trap as they made their way around turn 18. A big moment and a shake of the head, and a lot of the team there just wondering what might have occurred heading around that particular portion of the circuit. Obviously it gets very tight around those final 2 bends. We all know Ollie Goethe, his tenacity, his sheer determination to obviously score the best results he can, and Alex Garcia's very stern defensive efforts as well. It might just be that the 2 titans clashed at that particular moment in time. But now Goethe in third place has got 3.6 seconds to rein in. As we can see him behind him, Simonazzi trying to get close as well. Has not left the rear wing of Ollie Goethe right now. And you do have to wonder whether that little bit of contact heading down Ravazza might help Francesco Simonazzi out a little bit. Can it cause some issues in terms of the aerodynamics, perhaps, for example, or maybe some tyre issues as well? We'll have to wait and see, but all of these could be potential openings for Francesco Simonazzi. As you can see, the crane lifting Alex Garcia's stricken car away from Ravazza, as now we see them make their way down the home straight yet again. Lomko still out in front with Lubin in second, Goethe in third. Simonazzi trying to close the gap. There is a very somber looking Alex Garcia just walking pensively away from the circuit, but a big moment to say the least. And now Goethe up in the podium places. Goethe, it hasn't affected him. A 37.790 gives him the fastest lap of the race so far. So the Great Dane kicking on now, and you can see there's a gap starting to develop between him and Francesco Simonazzi now, who currently sits in 4th spot. So as they make their way up towards Tosa, still Lomko in front. The big question is, can Freddie Lubin hold back the tide? As we now see them make their way up through towards the Piratella. And Lomko doing well, just marshalling the gap nicely. 6.5 tenths of a second as it was last registered. And Goethe now within 2 seconds of the cars ahead now of Freddie Lubin, who is just ahead of him at this point. There's Josh Mason, who's managed to find his way past Vladimir Netashil at that point, and now making his way around the Tosa portion of the circuit. Vladimir Netashil representing effective racing. and is now making his way up through towards the Piratella as well. Josh Mason starting on the front row of the grid on pole position. He will do so later on as well for race 3, so he will have another chance to obviously try and get himself maybe a win or even a podium, as now we're seeing him come through the next part through Acqua Minerale. And, here on lap 7 of 19, still a lot of gap to find. In fact, they've still got to close the gap on Netteshill. Of course, Garcia out of the race, but Netteshill obviously has lapped them already. So essentially at this point in time, Mason and Christian Mansell have got to unlap themselves. So that there's a big opportunity here for Vladimir Netteshill to score some points here. Should he be able to hang on, of course, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled on this one, as we're now seeing Freddie Lubin in second place here in lap 8 of 19. Trying to close now on Vladislav Lomko, who's currently sat in first spot. And, heading up through towards Tosa. And through this next left, still Lomko marshalling a good gap. But Goethe really starting to come now, really getting closer and closer to the rear end of Freddie Lubin. As you can see, Simonazzi in behind as well. The race just slowly beginning to settle down as we're at the halfway portion here at Imola for the time being. And still, it's Vladislav Lomko who leads the way. The gap now nearly out by a second to that of Freddie Lubin, who I can imagine can see the familiar-looking Golf livery coming very fast up in behind. Of course, the Rofco sponsor on the side as well. Of course, that follows Goethe wherever he may go in the racing calendar as they make their way into the next chicane. And there you can see the last few laps and how they've matched up. Certainly Lubin starting to lose the time now. Oliver Goethe really started to punch a hole in the deltas, very nearly just over half a second a lap, near enough. He is really, really quick, Ollie Goethe, showing all that promise that we've expected, certainly that pace that we've seen all season long that has granted him race wins time and time and again, and that is why we call him the Great Dane, as now they make their way down the long straight in behind Simonazzi. Further back as well is still very much there in contention in the top 4, and if there is a battle that opens up, it will provide Simonazzi with an opportunity to certainly try and gamble for a potential podium place. We've still got still a considerable number of laps left to go. We've got 10 laps remaining, of course 19 laps here in this race. And Oliver Goethe, yet another fastest lap here with a 1:37.425. Absolutely sterling stuff here from Goethe as they head up through Tosa. Lomko still leading the way. Goethe trying to nestle in, yet another 6+ tenths advantage, very nearly 6.5 tenths at this point that he's managed to creep up on Freddie Lubin as they head up through Piratella. And he just keeps on pursuing, does that man Ollie Goethe. And who knows, we could be seeing a twist up, or certainly a twist for the race win towards the end of this one in race 2. Can Goethe make it a monumental 10 race wins this season? We'll have to wait and see, as now Lomko heads into the chicane. Of course, as I alluded to previously, Grand Prix de Pau winner Vladislav Lomko, Freddie Lubin, of course, chasing a podium, which will certainly help him and his campaign this season as they make their way down through towards the Ravazza corners. Lubin has been on the podium before, scored 2 second places this season, as well as a 3rd place as well, and has looked in rude health so far in this race. Was suffering from a little bit of a stomach bug yesterday when I spoke to him yesterday afternoon, but certainly said that he'd be ready to bounce back for this race today. Of course, he was the victim of Francesco Simonazzi's effort in through Acqua Minerale, but take a look now, he's got bigger problems because Ollie Goethe is getting very close indeed as they make their way towards Tamburello. Goethe opting for the outside line, obviously giving him the better access into Tamburello, and they will take Villeneuve very shortly as well. And now the door opens potentially for Ollie Goethe. The more they battle, the better it is for Lomko. You can see there now Lubin doing everything he can to keep Ollie Goethe, the championship leader, in behind him as they head up through Tosa. Ollie Goethe might spy an opportunity through Piratella, maybe do what Simonazzi did through Acqua Minerale. We'll have to wait and see, or maybe he'll be a little bit more cautious, wait till the far straight, but he will be conscious of the fact that Vladislav Lomko is still leading the way. So it's certainly all on Goethe now. If he wants to get that 10th race win, he needs to attack right now. 9 laps still to go. Further back, Simonazzi also managing to reduce the deficit too. He's starting to get into the fight for the podium places. And could we see yet another visit of the Lubin and Simonazzi battle that we saw yesterday? Of course, ending up with Simonazzi making that crucial overtake as now they make their way through the next chicane. And Goethe still there in third place. Lubin holding on to that second place, but for how long? Already the gap starting to fall away between him and Vladislav Lomko. Is now Goethe, who potentially will have another look into Ravazza. He's going to go for it again, maybe not, as he looks in the mirror. Of course, just making sure that Lubin registers that the Dane is right behind him. Of course, if Ollie Goethe can get the slipstream, he might be able to get a side-by-side moment heading through towards Tamburello. Let's wait and see. As I look out of my commentary box window, I can now see Vladislav Lomko streaking on by as well, just in behind as well. You can see that Lubin has got Goethe right behind him right now as they make their way in towards Tamburello. Very, very fast pace through this segment of the circuit as well. Nose to tail, nothing between them. The gap thinner than a fly's eyelash as they now make their way down the next straight. They've got Villeneuve coming up next. And I've got to say, give it to Lubin. He is defending absolutely brilliantly too. Just making sure that Goethe does not have the opening in order to make the crucial move. We're here in lap 11 of 19, folks. Still 8 laps to go here at this point. Well, technically, we're on the 9th lap right now, but Simonazzi just in behind. And really starting to get closer as well. So this will very likely turn into a 3-way contest. As now we're seeing Lubin still holding on to a deficit. Second place would be a great result for Freddie Lubin right now. Of course, started in that position at the beginning of the race. And, did attack Josh Mason from the get-go. We had that 3-wide moment heading in towards the first corners through Tamburello and then out towards Villeneuve. But then, of course, it would be, unfortunately, Josh Mason who would later go off and have to go into the pit lane after what looked to be maybe some issues heading through the chicanes. As now we see the cars make their way down through towards Ravazza 1 and 2. Still leading, Vladislav Lomko here on lap 11 now of 19. And, we can now see them marshal their way through. Goethe still in third. Simonazzi trying to get as close as he can. Freddie Lubin still trying to keep the Great Dane at bay. Simonazzi getting closer as well. Just look at him. He really is not content with 4th place. He wants a podium, and he should have a podium. Certainly given the pace that he showed in practice over the weekend. Certainly a great display for BVM. This is their home race, of course. Simonazzi very well versed to this circuit. Of course, Goethe has been here before as well, which has certainly given him all the necessary experience that he needs to obviously contest for the race win that he got yesterday. But there you see Freddie Lubin just keeping him at bay, keeping him away from that second place that he oh so wants right now. Simonazzi now very much part of this group that is currently sat in 2nd, 3rd and now 4th positions as well. Lomko just enjoying himself at this point in time. He's got a lovely deficit of 2.1 seconds to his name ahead of that of Freddie Lubin. And Lubin with a very small gap, a slender margin of 4/10 in front of Ollie Goethe, with now Simonazzi breaking into that second gap now. 9/10 of a second is all that's between that of Simonazzi and Goethe. As they head in towards the next chicane again, they'll venture down towards the Sector 3 portion of the circuit. You can just see there Simonazzi sending it, giving everything to this circuit to try and marshal in as much as he can. Of course, now Goethe once again coming into Ravazza. Will he look to have another look? He does certainly. Run a little bit wider, going defensive there. Freddie Lubin maybe a little bit too defensive at this point, because of course Goethe might have a better run down the home straight as they now make their way down the home straight past the pit lane on the right hand side now. Goethe very close this time to Freddie Lubin. They go side by side. Defensive now, certainly for Lubin. Tries to hold on to that second spot. They go once again side by side. There's a nose in front for Goethe as they headed towards Tamburello. Podium place battle here as now Lubin holds on to P2. An excellent display, an excellent duel, an excellent battle. And now Simonazzi right in behind as well. A 3-way fight for the podium places. It's still Lomko out in front. He's a distant memory. He's 2.4 seconds up the road. But in behind, the almighty battle for this P2 spot is starting to ignite. Lubin in second, still trying to keep the prosaic Ollie Goethe in behind. The current championship leader with Simonazzi in the BVM car, not far behind either. We've now got 3 cars all battling for podium places. Anything can happen, folks. Get your tickets ready, folks. This one's going to be sensational. Down through towards Aqua Minerale. It is still now Lubin holding on to this second place spot, marshalling against these drivers, certainly keeping Goethe in behind, just making sure he gets full view of that rear wing. There's Lomko making his way through in picture through the next chicane. And now we see them all come through now. Simonazzi part of the tail end of this field as now we watch them cruise their way down through towards Ravazza. Now Goethe really needs to get this move done. He knows that Simonazzi's coming. He's aware of his pace here around this track, circuit of Imola. But Lubin doing an absolute almighty, tremendous job right now of keeping Goethe at bay. As now we see them make their way down the straight again, past the pit lane on the right. Certainly Goethe is not as close to Lubin as he was on the previous lap, but he will have a slipstream. You see the cars now make their way down through towards Tamburello. Simonazzi right in with the fight too. Literally nothing separated them right now. 2 tenths between Goethe and Lubin. 4 tenths between Goethe and Simonazzi as well. Though they'll be very conscious of tyre temps as well. I know that Christian Mansell mentioned that he struggled on the rears yesterday. And that, of course, allowed Simonazzi to try and get close to the back of Christian Mansell's car. Very nearly, like I said earlier, one more lap. And you would have fancied Simonazzi to get a podium place in yesterday's race. As now they head around Tosa. Still, currently, Freddie Lubin in second. In behind Goethe. Simonazzi just chasing him through Piratella. As they now make their way down through towards Acqua Minerale. BVM would be delighted if Simonazzi can get himself a podium at this point. He was a little disappointed with Simonazzi yesterday. Wasn't quite able to get what he wanted. He really did want to make the overtake, the crucial overtake on Christian Mansell. Just a podium here at Imola would mean so much to the young 18-year-old. And I know he'll do everything possible. And a little slip there from Goethe. The rear's just stepping out in behind him there. Had to get the grip back into the car very quickly. The traction sort of got away from him. Of course, that will allow Lubin to hold on to a reasonable gap. Of course, to say reasonable at this point, it can all be closed back in, heading down the long straight. Of course, we know Goethe's pace. Simonazzi as well, right there. The gap's fairly equilateral at this stage. There we saw Lomco just in pictures. They commenced lap 14 of 19. Lap 15 of 19 now, sorry, as they come down through towards Tamburello. Lomco still in front. Goethe just locked in behind. Simonazzi not far behind him either as they come through Tamburello. Still, Lubin doing well to keep hold of this second place. Simonazzi not content either with his place in fourth, or fourth at this stage. Goethe obviously on the podium, would like P2. And heading now up through towards Tosa. They'll make the climb now, the high elevation point of the track. And, it's quite a descent, quite a climb before they then reach Piratella, which you can pretty much take flat out at this particular point. Tees you up perfectly then for Acqua Minerale later on as they now round this next left-hander. Still currently Lubin, who will certainly look to try and accrue these points that would help him in the championship. He's only coming into this one a very fine margin in behind that of Josh Mason, who is certainly still trying to fight for that race win this weekend. Of course, he will start on the front row yet again alongside Mason in race 3. Imagine for Lubin, if he was to get 2 really big results, 2 big podiums this afternoon, would certainly go a long way to his championship, to say the least. As now Lubin comes down towards Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2 after that as well. Goethe just in behind, Simonazzi just waiting patiently. And you get the feeling that eventually these drivers are going to have to leave nothing to chance and head into the final portion of the race and battle for that P2 spot. As now they head through past the paddock on the right-hand side and the pit lane. And here this time on lap 16 of 19. Goethe now closer to Lubin than Simonazzi is to Goethe. Goethe has a little look in the mirrors again, just lets Lubin know, just letting Lubin know, should I say, that he is still there and very much in this fight. Of course, Lubin still doing a very sterling job of holding on to his position out on track. The gap now extending out to 3 seconds between Lomco and Lubin. Remember, that was 2 seconds not long ago. We have now hit 3. So Lomco in a very controlled position as things stand. And this will be his 2nd race win of the championship, should he cross the line. And a very nice first race win he had as well, as I said earlier, Grand Prix de Pau winner. And will write his name in the history books, that's for sure. But nevertheless, we have got a thrilling and intoxicating battle for this 2nd place. Still now, Simonazzi in 4th, trying to gun down on Ollie Goethe. Remember, we saw those 2 duel it out at Hungaroring as well. If you'll remember, Simonazzi's big move heading through turn 2 and turn 3, where he sold the dummy on Ollie Goethe, switched sides and cut through on the inside, and very nearly got 1st place as well. Very close to it, in fact. He nearly opened the door on Christian Mansell. That was, of course, the thrilling encounter in race 3, which Mansell will hold on to the race win to, but still a fantastic showing from Simonazzi. As I said yesterday, he's made some comments lately to say, look, no more Mr. Nice Guy, I need to be a little bit more aggressive out on track, and he believes that's what's given him those really good results. It certainly has shown his killer instinct at this point. Goethe now, again, getting closer and closer to Lubin as they head down through towards Tamburello. He might yet open the door still. Lubin goes ultra defensive yet again. Goethe not taking the plunge just yet as they head up through towards the Villeneuve chicane. Still Lubin able to hold on to that second place. Goethe not troubling him with a move just yet, albeit everything's troubling for Lubin right now. All he can see in his wing mirrors. Oh, Simonazzi! Big moment, has gone into the gravel trap out of Villeneuve, and we've seen that a couple of times. Obviously, out of these chicanes, it can certainly unsettle the cars. And obviously, we've spoken about sausage curves, and not to mention the rumble strips as well. Or should you step out too far? Simonazzi certainly did so. Goethe now has now got a little bit of breathing space with the car that's in behind him. Simonazzi now losing or coming out, but he very quickly marshals it back in. So a great recovery from Francesco Simonazzi. Here's the replay. And just stepped out and literally skipped over the curb pretty much and entered into the gravel trap. Managed to get himself back on. You can just see the grimace on the face of the BVM team as they watch on as Francesco once again closes the gap to Ollie Goethe. He'll take a little breather, I think, after that one. But he's back on circuit and ready to go again. Just to say, Vladislav Lomko again stretching his advantage out by another 1.5 tenths. As now we see them head through the final Ravazza corner. Lubin still in second as they now make their way down through the start-finish straight. They will commence yet another lap here at Imola, the Emilia-Romagna region, once again gracing us with a great race as Lomko commences lap 18 of 19. He's got one more lap left to go after this one, but in behind, it's still the battle for second place, and it's still ongoing. Lubin, Goethe, Simonazzi, who was going to make the crucial move, as now we can see them make their way down through towards what will be Villeneuve chicane. They'll have another straight to take as well. Still there, though. Lubin, an almighty job currently in second. Goethe in third as well, just waiting for the right moment with Simonazzi in behind too. Of course, with one lap to go after this one, you get the feeling that Goethe is going to leave all the cards out on the table and potentially try and hammer home a podium. Francesco Simonazzi might decide to do the same too as they head up through towards Piratella, with Acqua Minerale beckoning the drivers as well. Vladimir Neteschil still holding on to that fifth spot, but Christian Mansell working hard to try and close up to him, as well as Josh Mason as they now venture out of Acqua Minerale. It's still Lomko. There we see him in picture with Lubin in behind. Lomko makes his way through that particular chicane. Lubin in second, Goethe in third, with him behind Simonazzi, who has just dropped off just slightly, but he's still there, still very much in that fourth place as they head down through towards Ravazza 1, and very shortly they will begin one final lap here in race 2 here at Imola. What an incredible race it's been. The battles have been thrilling as now they head down this next long straight for the final time under race conditions in race 2 and through towards Tamburello. And it's Freddie Lubin who's in second. Lomko streets ahead in front. There you can see him just in picture as he heads through towards Tamburello. Goethe knows that he needs to try and move very, very quickly indeed if he wants this second place. Simonazzi in behind as well as they head through this next chicane. They come through again very shortly. Villeneuve will be next on their list. Lomko taking it now as they head through down the next straight. Goethe backing off slightly. Now what's going on here? Simonazzi getting closer. Goethe lost a little bit of traction to that of the car ahead. Now what's going on? What's going on, Ollie Goethe? As now we're seeing Simonazzi getting closer and closer to the Great Dane in third place. Could this be a podium potentially for Simonazzi as they head up through towards the Piratella? Still in second place, Lubin has now got a reasonable advantage to that of Goethe in behind. It is stretched out now quite considerably. If you consider how the three of them were together, it might have been a little mistake heading out of Villeneuve corner, hence why the gap has increased. But nevertheless, what a moment indeed, as now we see Vladislav Lomko heading through the next chicane. He will then venture his way down through towards Ravazza for the final time here in this race. He's been an excellent driver, consistent drive
which you could say a lot about Vladislav Lomko's races. 1 win to his name right now, 4 second places, 5 third places, a race fastest lap, not to mention a pole position, but he's very shortly going to raise the statistics up to 2 race wins, because Vladislav Lomko will cross the line to take victory here at Imola, here at the Emilia-Romagna region in the Euroformula Open Race 2. It's Vladislav Lomko in second place, Lubin in second, certainly Goethe in third, Simonazzi not quite enough, remains in fourth. But what a cracker, what a race. Vladislav Lomko getting his 2nd win of the season. He will be absolutely delighted. It was such a punishing display, a great display, as now we see Christian Mansell head through the next left at Tosa. He, of course, managing to get past Vladimir Netashil in that 5th spot. And, further back as well, Mason, who's trying to work hard as well, as we see Mansell heading around the Piratella. He will come down through Acqua Minerale. And what an absolute groundbreaking race indeed. Certainly the start was the precursor to everything that happened later on. We will, of course, take another look at it later on, folks. But really an almighty charge from Vladislav Lomko to hold on to that race advantage. It was all on Lubin then to defend the 2nd place, which he will be absolutely elated about, because he has certainly tried his best all season long. As I said yesterday, wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very determined, and he's come here and brought a P2 to the table for his team. Christian Mansell heads around Ravazza 2. He will come up towards the line and confirm his place as well, as he now crosses it. And it will be Christian Mansell home in 5th. And a great drive for him as well. There's Vladislav Lomko, the man who has now made it 2 wins this season. He'll bask in this one, that's for sure. Top step of the podium, but not only does it mean an overall race win, it does obviously mean a rookie race win as well, yet again. His 2nd one of this race weekend. He took the rookie win yesterday and once again will extend his lead in that championship. But here's the confirmation: Vladislav Lomko in 1st, Freddie Lubin in 2nd, Oliver Goethe finishing in 3rd, Francesco Simonazzi, try as he might, 4th he remains, Christian Mansell in 5th, Vladimir Netashil in 6th, Josh Mason in 7th, and unfortunately the retiring Alex Garcia was at the back. But in they come into Parc Ferme, and Vladislav Lomko no doubt will jump out of the car and will be absolutely elated, delighted. All the adjectives you can think of. Alongside him, Olli Goethe parking up in the 3rd place spot, as Simonazzi rolls up in behind as well. He's got to make way as well for Freddie Lubin, who takes the 2nd place position for the 3rd time this season. And there he is, the celebrations for Vladislav Lomko. Such a thrilling race. The start was unbelievable. But he will be delighted and thrilled with that, to once again add to his points tally. Celebrates with his team, fist bumps, handshakes, you name it. It's all going on. And congratulations as well from the fellow title contender, Oliver Goethe, at Motor Park. Obviously thrilled with their driver as well. But what a race. I'd imagine there's a bit of sweat there on the brow of Vladislav Lomko, certainly from the early start. Things sort of settled down for him later on as the race started to sort itself out. But what a race indeed, folks. Oliver Goethe in 3rd place. That is how he finished. 2nd place, of course, went to Freddie Lubin, who held on so sternly, defended so well to keep Goethe at bay. But he wasn't close enough to take the race win from that of Vladislav Lomko. An amazing effort, his 2nd win of the season, and he's standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
Vlad Lomko, nice win, the 2nd of the year after Pau, and this one also on a very nice track in a lively race with a lively start.
Yeah, it was a great race. It feels really good to finally win again. And yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it.
How were the initial phases? Because it was quite messy.
Yeah, it was quite intense. It was all about finding the right spot and going to the right direction, and then defending on the lap 2, which I did quite well. And then, yeah, it was just about keeping up the pace and keeping the tires alive. Yeah.
Well done. Enjoy the victory.
Thank you very much.
All smiles on the face. And here come the highlights, folks, of what was a tremendous race. I mean, how do you package all of this together? The start was something else, but Josh Mason getting away well. Someone who didn't get away so well was Francesco Simonazzi. Got off the line very slowly indeed. Freddie Lubin was trying to challenge Mason. In came Christian Mansell as well, who looked to pull off such a great move. Did lead for the time being. Going off the track as well was Freddie Lubin, who managed to hold on to that position as well. Goethe was stagnant in behind him. Goethe making moves on Christian Mansell. Mansell with a lockup heading through Tosa. Looked to have some issues with the tyres once again, as you could see it coming away from the alloy. In came into the pits Josh Mason, allowing the lead to be going to Freddie Lubin. Then, of course, Ollie Goethe cutting the track, had to go off because there was no room heading out of Tamburello. And then, of course, when they ventured into Villeneuve, they would ignite the P2 battle that would happen between that of Simonazzi as well as they made their way through. Simonazzi making a mistake. Goethe then receiving that P3 move. But then, of course, what about the battle between Alex Garcia? Garcia into the gravel trap, skipping off. It was a huge moment. Goethe, of course, luckily enough, not sustaining damage. But as they came across the line, no one was stopping Vladislav Lomko. He took the race win here at Imola. And the podium celebrations will start now, folks. Oliver Goethe already standing tall. Well, the national anthem there for Vladislav Lomko. A wonderful race indeed. Not only an overall win, but a rookie win as well. Alfredo Filipponi will go out and handshake the drivers, hand over the trophies as well to that of Ollie Goethe in third, as well as in second place, belonging to that of Freddie Lubin, who will be absolutely thrilled with that. Lifts it a high, lifts it aloft. But this man will be celebrating the hardest. Vladislav Lomko, a smile on his face. We all like to see that. And no doubt the three drivers will celebrate indeed. Motor Park yet again with another trophy in their palm. And it'll all be looking ahead now to race 3, the final one on this Imola race weekend. And we'll be looking forward to bringing that to you later on, of course, as well, folks. But again, will it be Josh Mason this time? Can he recover after that issue earlier on? Will it be Simonazzi? Can he get a better start? Has really suffered with that. But we'll find out later on, folks, when we go racing again for race 3 this afternoon.